Hello, everyone, and welcome to AITA Pod. I am Shannon D, and I am joined today by my lovely, unlovable co-hosts, Danny Vega and Jake Davis, along with a very special
Already
guest.
Disrespected.
Yeah, I regret the decision you made, Danny. You should have not let her done this.
I can't believe I'm letting her drive.
But today, you guys, we are joined by an extra special guest. This is so exciting. We have Brian, aka Brittany, from season 5 of The Circle on Netflix. Brian,
what's
welcome.
up? Hey, and I just want to say that was the best introduction I have ever heard on this show in my entire life. Another level.
Thank you.
We're losing the show, man. It's over.
It's the Shannon hour now. Thanks for your help, Brian.
That's right.
Traitor.
You're
The
welcome.
fans asked for it. The fans got it, baby.
And can I just say, Brian, it hurts extra because, we did an episode in the past.
We did. And,
Yes.
listen, full disclosure, that was a great episode, but I can already tell this one's better. And it's only been 30 seconds.
Damn straight, Danny.
Well, I
Hear
guess
that?
just kill me with a real gun. That's fine. You know what, Brian? I always knew that you were a bigger Sarah fan anyway. You
I
dirty
thought
traitor.
I liked you, Brian, and now I know I love ya.
Besties.
We actually had to reveal to Danny that you were on The Circle. It was this big revelation to him of just
Don't
he's
tell
He
like,
didn't
that's-
know.
That guy's been on the show. Yeah. Oh, he's on The Circle? Wow. Oh, I never
Wow.
would have known.
Oh, I didn't know Danny had a podcast, so we're even.
Wait, so
I like
Brian,
all your posts, Brian. I always like your shit. So you must not have posted that you were on The Circle because I always see Rose City. I like your posts.
wait,
I had to
so
keep it top secret. I
Brian,
couldn't-
how did you hear about AITA Pod? Because he was a patron, like a couple years ago, and he was a guest on the show because of that. But tell us how you found this pod.
Well, the former star of the show, Sarah Levine, was the host. And so we were really good friends. And so she said she had this really great podcast that she was carrying all by herself. She needed someone to be on there to bring some
shoulders were
life to the show.
hurting.
I mean, she was like, I'm on this podcast and it's just great and all, but it's just missing something. I was like, I'm 99.9% of it. And so I was like, okay, great. I'll be on there. And it was amazing, I gotta say. But Danny, you're great. You're great as well. I love you so much. And it's great. I love giving you a hard time.
Don't try to save yourself, Brian. It's over for me and you, buddy.
I got to circle back so I can get back on the show. So, Danny, you're amazing. So I love you so much.
He went on The Circle just so he could be a guest on this podcast again.
We
That
consider The
was my plan.
Circle a huge competitor, by the way. So it was actually really an insult.
Well, speaking of The Circle, can you take us through the process of getting on the show, how it started, and all the steps in between?
Oh, my gosh. So it was a long-winded process. So there's two different types of people in the world. There are the beautiful influencers with six-pack abs that get all of these, shows thrown at them, modeling, hundreds of thousands of followers. And then there's me, an old guy with 150 followers that has to DM Danny 100 times to get on a show.
What the hell, Brian? That's not true. I will not stand for blatant lies. I am on that shit, baby.
No. And so, what I did, I was a huge fan of The Circle to begin with. And so one day I said, you know what? I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to try to be on the show. I may have had a few drinks. And a few other things, maybe edible. I don't know. Can we say edible on the show? Is it
Sure
legal to say edible? Okay, yeah. I may have had a couple edibles, all right? And then I put on a crazy shirt. I put on this crazy hat, and I just went into my office, and I said, I'm going to be on The Circle. And I did the application. 2 months later, I get a text message from one of the producers and said, hey, you want to be on The Circle? And I'm like, yeah. So we had to do a long-winded trial. It was 3 months. It was the longest application for a job I've ever had. It was so exhausting. They're like, say, we need photos. We need more photos. We need videos. We need this. We need that. And so I did it. And
what
I got on.
What did they have you do? What kind of stuff?
So they were like, give me your Instagram so we can look at your Instagram. So they stalked our Instagram. Then I had to do more photos. I had to take photos. I had to take videos of just me doing stuff. We need photos of you out and about. We need photos of you doing cool stuff. We need some wild
vlog
photos.
style, or like was someone filming it for you?
Every single style you can imagine. So they needed action shots. They needed feet pics. They needed me twerking. They're like, let's see you twerk. They literally said, hey, Brian, I want to see how you twerk. Because I twerked on the show. So I think that was a prerequisite.
Because on the circle, for those of you that don't know, they're all in separate rooms. You guys have to watch the show. It's so addicting. And they're talking to each other just online, just social media. And a lot of times they have to celebrate. And so I understand why they wanted to see you twerking, because they love when when the contestants are just like bouncing off the walls and dancing.
Brian, now, just to clarify here, the reason I don't watch The Circle is because my social life is already that. I'm in a room, I'm angrily typing on Discord. Like, I don't need to see other people do it.
It's hard for you. It mirrors your life a little too much.
Yeah, too much.
Too close to home. Okay, wait, that's so interesting. And then what made you want to go in as a catfish? Like, did you initially want to do that, or did production
Shannon, can we just explain a little bit for the people who don't watch The Circle? Because so they're all in separate rooms. Nobody sees anybody physically. So it is a known strategy, because I did watch season 1. Honestly, Brian, I saw you're in season 2. I'm like, fuck this.
Season 5, excuse me.
Oh my God, are there that many?
There's that many.
Oh, I have no idea which one I watched. I have no idea which one I watched.
You did a lot of prep heading into this interview, clearly.
Catfish is a strategy that people use. It's like been in the other seasons, and that was I don't know that I did anything explanatory for anybody, but anyway, sorry. Go ahead,
so
Brian.
they can either go in as themselves and put their own photos up and give mostly their correct information. Sometimes you can like change, you can be yourself when you're going in, but you can say like, instead of a teacher, you can say like you're a personal trainer. But then some people go in as like a straight up other person. And so what Brian did is he went in as his daughter, who is like 27 and she's got a daughter herself. And so, take us through your thought process there.
Well, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who has not seen the show, but I didn't do too great, just to put it out there. But so basically, the show is hard. The competition, it's a social media competition show, basically, where you try to be the most popular person on the internet or within your circle, which we all do, right? We always want to be the most popular, right? And so basically what you do is you pretend to be yourself or someone else. So I decided that in order for me to separate myself from the pack as far as the application, because it's hard to win the show, but it's even harder to get on the circle because thousands upon thousands of people apply to be on the circle. So I was like, how can I separate myself from everyone else? Because I'm just a dude who has no followers. I don't have a 6-pack. I don't have hair. So how am I going to get on this show? So I was like, I'm going to do something that no one else has done. I'm going to pretend to be my daughter on this show. And on paper, it sounded like a bad idea, but doing it was even worse because it was so hard. Because you think you can do these things, when you're on your couch, like, you know how you watch shows, you're like, I can totes do that. I was like, I can totes my goats do this. Like, this is easy. This is nothing. I'm the greatest. I'm great in my family group chat, And so I'm going to go in here. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to kill it because in my real job, I'm an investigator in my real job. So I was like, I'm just going to eat these kids up. I'm going to eat and leave no crumbs. I said they didn't keep it in production. So I said, they're going to build a statue of me when I'm done with this because I'm going to dominate. And so
you went in real confident.
I did. I came in a little wild. And so during the process, I was like, hey, I'm going to be my daughter, Brittany. And then the funniest, most awkward, phone call I've had in a while is when I called my daughter. I was like, hey, Brittany, so funny question for you, but I'm going to be on a Netflix show and I'm going to pretend to be you. Are you in? And she was like, what is this? Because she didn't watch it either. Like she didn't watch The Circle at all. So it was pretty interesting to just go through the process. And she was all in. She was 100% in with being on the circle. And she had to do her photos and do her consent. But it ended up being great. She loved it. We both loved it.
Did she give you any notes on how to best personify her digitally to other people? Did she give you any catchphrases? Any like, oh, I'm always saying this, make sure to sneak that in?
So my catchphrase, and we were able to, use our own, come up with our own ideas and do our own thing. So my catchphrase was, "It's Brittany, bitch." And
your
at the
catfish catchphrase. Try saying that 10 times fast.
Yeah, but it's Brittany, bitch. And when I'm walking down the streets of Portland, Oregon, people will come up to me and be like, hey, Brittany, it's Brittany, bitch. So it's a lot of fun, especially at my last soccer tournament I was at. One of the parents came up to me during the soccer tournament. It was like, "It's Brittany, bitch." One of the soccer moms. It was great. Has
she gotten any attention from it? Like, have people recognized her at all?
Yes, people at work come up to her and say, "Hey, I saw you and your dad on TV and he was pretending to be you on the show. Like, was that weird?" And she was like, "Yeah, it was."
Yeah, what was it like flirting as your daughter?
So luckily, we didn't get to that point. So my strategy going in was, to kind of be just my sweet, innocent, beautiful daughter, which she is. She's the perfect, most innocent child in the world. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go in and kind of hide and kind of, just be a little wallflower, not make too many waves, because I didn't want to get canceled after I got out of that house.
True,
because
very true.
Listen, if you're too much of a villain on these shows and you come out, don't even log into Twitter. Like, they take it personally.
Oh my God,
like,
the internet's brutal. I'm always worried, like even just being on this podcast, that I'm going to say something that's going to get me canceled. And we have way less of a following than Netflix.
Yeah, so
don't
it was
say
scary.
that, Shannon. That's what we don't want them to know.
We'll edit that out later on.
Well, is there anything that you would have done differently if you could?
Yeah, I would have. I went in as Brittany, and that was great, and we loved it. But I would have went in as myself, because it's a lot easier just coming in as yourself, because you overthink it. Not only are you pretending to be a 27-year-old woman, but it's your daughter. So you want to represent her in a good light and not get her canceled. Because, people will be like, "Oh, I hate your daughter." I'm like, she wasn't even on the show. So I was
so true.
in my head. Yeah, I was too in my head. So I would have went in as myself, because it's so much easier to just, because it's a totally different ball game when you are going in and you have the cameras roll and all of that, instead of being on your couch. So I definitely would have been myself.
Yeah, I feel like, after watching 5 seasons of it, it seems like the people that go in are as themselves. They're always the winner, and they like always go the furthest. And so it kind of seems like a no-brainer. But like you were saying, like, it's difficult to get on the show. Like, maybe you would have not gotten on the show if you didn't have like, okay, but I'm also going to be playing my daughter.
I 100% would not. Listen, I think I have a great personality.
You do. You're delightful.
I used to think that too.
Next time I'm in LA, Danny, I'm going to buy you drinks. Drinks are on me. There we go.
I've been sober for years, but I'll break it for you.
A drink of tomato juice.
Yeah.
A drink of anything,
There we go.
Coffee.
Doesn't have to be alcoholic.
There we go.
Yeah. Why? Thanks for assuming that.
Hey, I know you're the Rosé King.
Oh, Rosé King. Rosé. Yeah, he loves his pink.
I'm the Rosé Queen.
Oh, the queen. Yes, honey. We
Don't
love
put me in
it.
a box.
So what was it like watching it back and seeing how the other contestants were reacting to you?
Well, you know how, it's hard to, when you listen to your voice, it's like, I hate the sound of my voice. Well, it was kind of like that. It's like, my face. Why did I do that? Why did they show my feet? Like, oh no, this angle, that like, it was what Jake like would that.
Be thinking.
Oh my gosh. It was like, I was like cringing. We had like a watch party at my house. It was so hard to watch yourself back because, just listening to yourself and seeing yourself and knowing that everyone in the world is seeing you. It was so hard to do, but it was great. It was awesome. It was fun. Yeah. Brittany loved it. I had a good reaction from everyone. I did not get canceled, most importantly. So that was the most important thing.
Number one.
Did I get canceled? No. Are people getting canceled left and right? because of the things they see on these reality TV shows?
Yes.
Absolutely. So just seeing it again, which is super awesome. It was a lot of fun. And I just loved it. I would do it again. Hello, Netflix. If anyone's listening from Netflix, I would absolutely go on any except for one of the islands. I wouldn't go on any of the Netflix islands like Love Islands or Too Hot to Handle or any of that stuff.
Oh, unfortunately, that's the only listeners we have, though. The executive producers of Love Island. So.
That's our core audience.
Yeah, you just lost your chance,
in.
Brian.
That's Danny's core group of friends right there.
But like when you were watching it back and seeing how the other contestants were like, you know, some of them thought you were catfish. Like, did you think like that anyone was suspicious of you?
Listen. When I was filming the show, I was just eating. I was eating. I thought I had these people in a chokehold.
In the palm of your hand.
I thought I was winning until the first like ratings, and I was like sixth. And then the next ratings, I was like dead last. And then watching it back, because the thing is that when you're talking to these people, you only see what they type on the screen. You don't see their reactions in real life. So you can see when watching it back that when they say they loved you, like, oh, I love you, it's rainbows and sunshine. In their apartments, they're saying, this person is an idiot. Like, literally, I think they said I was both, not to give anything away, but they said I was both annoying and boring. And one of the people chat said, they were like, Brittany, pick a struggle. How can you be both annoying and boring at the same time? And I was like, that was absolutely brutal. But one of the things that got me, that really put the nail in my coffin in my short circle career, was when they told me to send a wild photo of yourself in the group chat. As a father of a 27-year-old daughter, the last thing you want to do is send a thirst trap of your daughter to a bunch of people on a reality TV show.
Yeah, that's so true. You were in such a tough position, it being your daughter. It might have just been better going in as like another 27-year-old, like just fake person. But it's like, where would you get these random photos? Like, that's what I don't understand.
So whenever you choose to be someone, and I think I can say this, but who knows? Some of the people that go in as catfish, like Shuby's character, the woman that he came in as in Catfish Ash, he didn't know her. So, and I'm friends with some of the people. These are real people, of course, obviously, because there are photos of them. But some of the folks reached out after the show and they followed me on Instagram and they were like, hey, Netflix reached out to me to use my photos in my profile. So Netflix does provide some of these photos. So they can be like, hey, you can be this individual. We'll provide you all of the photos of that person. So if it wasn't my daughter, best believe I would have been sending all the thirst traps out of a random stranger. Yeah, if I pretended to be Danny, I would have sent out all the booty photos if I was pretending to be Danny.
He's got a lot of those.
That's what I thought you were going to say when they're like, pick a side. Are you annoying or boring? You're going to be like, look, my inspiration's Danny Vega. The guy's got them both. He's a double threat,
That's actually my
baby.
plan if I ever go in the circle. I want to catfish as Danny and just go absolutely hog wild. Just really paint an insane picture of this man.
Emailing Netflix right now with that idea.
So what was it like when you met everyone after, like in person? Was it like insane to see that? Because did anyone represent themselves inaccurately?
So
let's get the tea here.
I'm spilling it. Let's get ready. So basically, when we were filming during the time, it was during COVID time. So we filmed a long time ago. It was in 2021 when we filmed the show. So that was like during like peak COVID. So we had all the COVID protocols in place. So even after we filmed the show, we really didn't have an opportunity to hang out or talk. So we do have a group chat that we created after the show aired. And we were able to kind of like sneakily follow everyone on social media, but we couldn't like post on anyone's Instagrams or TikToks, but we did sneak and follow each person. So we kind of got an idea of who they were outside of the Circle House. But during the time that we were waiting, we got to know each other during the group chats, but we could not go see each other or hang out with each other or do any of that because there were some people who were social media influencers. And if they were together, they would have probably just blown the cover. And so we got to know each other a little bit like that. But when we finally met up during the finale, or sorry, not the finale, but during the Netflix, I guess it was like a rap party, they called it. Yeah, rap party in LA. So, it was so amazing. Like everyone, and I mean, everyone was just so nice and amazing. There were so many people from different seasons that were there and they came and they and it was awesome. No one was walking around like, oh yeah, I'm a superstar. Get out of my way. You know, nobody was Danny Vega in it out there like they were a star.
Right.
You know, no one was too cool for school. Sorry, Danny. You're I guess person I'm going to
Pinata
punching bags today. I love it.
It's a thing. You're right in line with the show.
Oh yeah, the listeners will eat it up.
Sorry, not sorry, but nobody was Danny Vega in it out there. Like they were too cool for school and walking around with their head up. Like I can't see you. I'm too cool. Like spray perfume in front of me so I can walk in it. Like so I don't have to smell the peasants. But everyone was super cool. Even the stars of the show, and there were some breakout stars. That are, doing some things, and they were super cool as well. And so I had a great time. I got to meet some other, cast members from other reality TV shows because they were all there, but it was super crowded though. And it was fun, but there was just a lot of people that I didn't know. So I wish they would have given us like some type of VIP kind of situation to where we could speak more, but it was loud, it was crowded. So we didn't get a chance to really get to know each other that much, but it was great just seeing them outside after all of these years. So it was so much fun.
Yeah, it must have been wild, like getting to know somebody just over social media essentially, and then meeting them in person. Cause I feel like a lot of people can really relate with that because either people have like, friendships that they've created online, or like we have a Discord group with our Patreons and patrons, I think they're what they're called. So, we chat with them just on social media, and we kind of like come up with in our head of like the type of person that they are. And then you meet them in real life and you're like, oh, you're kind of nothing like what I was expecting you to be. Because it is really hard to represent yourself properly online.
Yeah, well, they say never meet your heroes.
That's true.
It's kind of like how everybody likes Shannon on the show, but in real life, she's really mean to me and gaslights me.
She's mean to you and gaslights you on the show too. So I think that she is being authentic.
That's a good point, Jake. I appreciate you, JD.
Yeah, I'm authentic across the board. Okay.
And Brian, the reality fan bases of shows, they can be so fanatic. They're so diehard for whatever group that they're watching. Have you been experiencing that? Do you get a lot of outreach from people kind of giving you unsolicited advice on what you should have done differently to stay on the show?
Every single day, thousands upon thousands of messages. I really wish, and the big one was, I really wish you would have went in as yourself. You should have done this. Like, why did you do that? Like people take it personally. They're like, what's a 48-year-old dude doing on the circle? Like, what do you think you're doing on the circle?
That's
I'm
so
like,
mean.
I'm not dead. I'm not like, but even if I'm 80, put me on a reality TV show. You know what I'm saying? And put me on Too Hot to Handle when I'm 85, Like I'll be out there dancing in Ibiza, But the biggest thing was either how do I get on the circle, which go to the casting website. I can't like get you on the circle. And B was, you should have went in as yourself. And people will call me like, hey, Dad, you're cool. I want you to be my dad. Like, I love you as a dad. I'm like, no, stop with this dad stuff. Like, I don't want to be your dad. Like, when people become America's dad, it doesn't work out too well. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like, no.
My partner and I, when you came on screen, we were immediately rooting for you because it's so consistent on these Netflix shows. You're usually looking at people between 21 to 30. They're usually, like you're saying, 8 packs, rip. So we were really rooting for somebody different in that. A show like The Circle, I want an 82-year-old grandma in there. I want somebody like, oh, I'm going to run circles around these whippersnappers. Like, I'd love some variety in that show. So, yeah, and you've got such a gregarious personality. I think you would have gone far just playing yourself.
Put Dora on The Circle.
All stars.
Oh,
Yeah,
Circle
they
All
should do
Stars.
that.
Is that breaking an NDA? Is that something that we have coming our way?
Well, we don't know. They don't tell us anything about anything. So we don't know anything. Like before I went on the Circle, I didn't even know I was going to go to Manchester to film until like 3 days before I flew out there. They were like,
oh my
hey,
God.
you're flying out. You're flying out. Like on a Friday, they were like, you're flying out to Manchester on Monday.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like,
I would be
what?
like running to the elliptical and doing like 3 hours going to the mall. That's like such short notice.
I know, but then you're so nervous and worried, then you just like stress eat, a bunch of food. So it was opposite for me. I was like, well, it is what it is. I'm the old guy on the season, so they're not expecting me to have the rip abs and all of that stuff. So I was good. I was just an old dude.
Totally.
And I was hoping for I was hoping for just like another older person, semi-older person to kind of like vibe with. But I was the only one. So I was pretty sad about that. So maybe they'll have like a senior citizen version of a reality TV show on Netflix one day. And
yeah,
I can
they
go back
should.
on.
I think I'm pretty sure I was hearing rumors like years ago because one of my mom's friends was looking to do it, but they were going to do the Senior Bachelor.
I keep seeing the ads for that. When is that going to drop?
I don't know. It's been like years now in the making.
Yeah, they had to axe it because everybody just kept hooking up. They kept trying to separate them. It's just like, nope, that's not how we're doing it around here. We're getting weird in this house.
That's right.
This is Dora on the Circle with Brian. Brian killed me. He killed me.
Dora on the Circle just crashing into everybody's threads, telling them stories they didn't ask for, asking them to come to her apartment to fix her phone.
Oh wait, that's another question I had was, can you just decide at any time like who you want to talk to?
No, we cannot. I wish we could have like chats through the night and like build an alliance with, a group of core people, but I can't get too much into that. But no, we were not allowed to just pick chats and who we wanted to talk to, which made it very, very difficult for me because I had a whole plan going in. So that plan kind of went out the window whenever I realized that, you couldn't just pick and choose who you wanted to talk to when you wanted to talk to them. So that unfortunately was not available to me.
Okay. So they would kind of tell you that who you could speak with.
I can't say that.
If you're not allowed to say, it's okay.
Yeah, I can't say that, but I didn't have full authority to like, go into someone's DMs at like 3 a.m. like I wanted to.
Actually, that's probably a good thing.
That's how you get canceled on the Circle.
Yeah.
Like, hey, girl.
Give them a lot of footage.
Yes. Brian, thank you so much. That was so interesting. We've got some amazing situations here. We've got a little theme with a couple of them, which I think you might like.
And we have a post that was deleted by the Reddit admins. I have never seen this in my life. We've always seen people, in other words, we've seen the moderators delete a post. That's as common as Jake being 100 feet tall. But this was pulled by Reddit staff. It actually says removed by Reddit, which, wow, this is wild. Our second story of the day. AITA for knowing my friend is getting catfished, but doing nothing to stop it. And Shannon, do you want to take us into our first sitch?
Yes. AITA for writing up an employee who catfished me. I'm a manager in a work environment that's rather casual where employees get close and spend a lot of time together outside of work. I'm a little traditional when it comes to employer/employee relations. So while I do participate in some activities to build morale and camaraderie, i.e. happy hours after work, attending weddings if I'm invited, etc., I do not participate in social activities where things might get a little out of hand, i.e. going to concerts, clubbing, just going to someone's house to hang out, etc. This is a personal policy that I also extend to social media where I keep my profiles private and do not add or accept employees on all platforms. I just like to keep things private and don't want them to see where I spend my time, who I'm dating, etc. Recently, a new hire asked me for my account, and I kindly let her know that I like to keep things private. I thought that was it, but she went ahead and made a fake account to follow me, going as far to post fake photos and write a fake bio to look like we went to college together. I found out because after I accepted her, she took screenshots of my photos and shared them to our other colleagues. Thankfully, there wasn't anything off base on my accounts, but she did share photos of my new boyfriend I haven't introduced yet, as well as photos of a new designer bag I purchased and quote unquote jokingly asked everyone if he was my sugar daddy. It was a huge breach of my privacy. Her comments also embarrassed me, and I ended up writing her up, which is a semi-serious offense at our workplace that can lead to termination. Since then, it caused a huge drama at work with some employees thinking I can't take a joke and that I was taking things too far, while others came out to support me. I hate that it's split up the team. Upper management supports my decision, but some employees have mentioned that I could have just verbally warned her first and that it was my own fault for calling her a catfish. AITA.
Very juicy.
Yeah, we talk about boundaries a lot on this show, and that's the first thing that pops up here. Like I'm kind of in line with OP where, I have a very small amount of work associates or colleagues that I kind of let in on that side of my life, not necessarily for protective purposes, but just kind of create a boundary between personal and work. And to go this far, there's such crazy hoops jumped through to cross over and break this boundary of somebody. It's a little concerning how obsessive it is almost. Is that too harsh of a word to use here?
No, I agree.
That's not necessarily the word I would use, but I'm with you. It's a huge boundary cross. It's against, just to talk about, it's not against the law, but it is actually against any social media's terms of use. It's against the platform rules. It's a reportable offense. You obviously can't impersonate someone by using their photos and whatnot.
True.
It's immensely violating. And I guess the one thing that strikes me as odd is I'm to understand this person did execute a very high-end catfish, and yet why'd they get caught? That's where I'm confused. How did their identity become linked to this account? So they must have been talking. That's my best guess.
She says that she found out because after she accepted her, the employee took screenshots of her photos and shared them with other colleagues. So I'm guessing another employee then went to her and was like,
hey, they put it together.
Like, they're sending us screenshots of your private profiles.
So I'm with you all. Like, that is a whole level of ridiculousness. Like, for me personally, like the moment that I found out I was going to be on a Netflix show, I blocked every single person at my work that I could possibly think of. Not even people that I know. Like, I looked in databases, like in the Outlook at my job, and was like, I'm going to block you. I want to block you. Anyone within a 5-state region, I'll block, because they don't need to know what I be doing. They don't need to know that I'm in a hot tub drinking rosé at 3 a.m. So the fact that they went to this extent to catfish someone and then showed photos, it's like, so you can catfish someone and like follow them, like it's still wrong, but then to take screenshots and show it to coworkers at your job, that's the whole nother level of just an added layer, which I feel that, the OP was right in doing what he did.
Yeah, I think it's totally inappropriate to do that. And like, talk about getting caught or like trying to avoid getting caught. My God, like she wasn't taking any precautions. She's just like, I'm just imagining her like printing out the screenshots. And that scene in Mean Girls when the burn book, all the pages, she made copies and she throws them in the hallways.
Yeah.
So
like
do we know what the
picturing.
What was the purpose of catfishing and befriending them? Like,
I think it was
the
curiosity. I think probably this person, they sound like a reasonable person. So everyone's like, oh, I wonder what Kim does in the off hours. And someone got obsessed. I'm going to try to land just a very minor ding here, which is, it does seem, here's how I'm reading this, right? A work environment that's rather casual where employees get close and spend together a lot of time outside of work. I think this is clearly like the restaurant industry, something like that, right? This is a fun biz. With me?
Not necessarily.
Probably. Whatever. They hang out a lot. It could
just be an office building in a really popular part of town. I've had jobs in high density places.
Yeah, where they go and get happy hour drinks after, like in New York.
I don't think so. She says a work environment that's rather casual. Like, I feel like that sounds like a setting, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Point being, I'm willing to bet this was a younger person doing this. And I don't necessarily think, because they didn't gender it up or anything, that this was obsessive, or in other words, it might have been obsessive in its intensity, sure, but I don't think it was out of a romantic thing. It wasn't stalkerish. No. In other words, that it was bored of curiosity. And I think the only thing I can say is that it might have actually just been more productive overall, had this person who's probably a little older, they sound maybe 30 or something, to go to this person directly and say, what you're doing is wrong. This is why. Stop doing it now. Rather than going the work route. I just think, just because I do support the workers of this country, that is kind of the only ding I can throw. It's not really even a ding. It's just an optimization.
And I'm with you.
See that.
I'm with you on because what I think happened here, the curiosity part, you nailed it. I've been in work environments. I've been in OP situation when you are kind of the more closed off, not as open person in a work environment where everybody is really open. It almost becomes an inside joke to everybody else of what's going on with him? What's that guy's deal? Where does he go when work is over? Because you know what is up with everybody else. So it becomes this, when I say obsessive, it's almost like a joke obsession of, people start having inside jokes about like, oh yeah, he fights crime at night or whatever it might be. So I get why it became something that other people wanted info on. And I'm wondering if, there was a small circle of coworkers that maybe not put the offending party up to this, but definitely encourage them to keep it going so that they could find out more details.
Love that, Jake. I think that's even giving our little perpetrator here a little bit of grace, that this was likely not a solo operation. I feel like they were likely goaded a little bit into this. Oh, come on. Yeah, keep doing it.
Yeah, I don't think it was romantic obsession at any point, but I think it is obsession with the bit, so to speak, of like you're jumping through a lot of hoops to pull this off.
Well, just the time and effort it took to be a catfish and do all that. Like, that is a lot of just effort to make a social media profile and do that. Did they have multiple profiles among multiple platforms? Do they make like TikToks? So, were they dancing and doing the TikTok dances to create this? Like, where was this at? Instagram? Like, that's a whole level of work. And I've kind of, because I'm older, and, I'm kind of the manager of my group of people. And they also had a lot of questions whenever I went and filmed and went away for 6 weeks. And they all were drilling me and wondering. So I could see someone doing this. And, at times I did see some of my coworkers before I blocked them all. They would be in my stories. And, I work with a lot of boomers. And so they didn't realize that they showed up on your stories when you view them. And so I had to block them as well. So, but yeah, I'll give them some grace. I'll give them some grace. But I don't agree with writing them up. I like to keep work life and private life separate. Even though they did cross a little bit, I still think it was a little too much to write them up.
Well, especially that it's like a semi-serious offense and it can lead to termination. Like, I'd understand if it was like when you wrote up your coworkers or your employees, like it was like a 3-strike rule or, but this seems like it can lead to them losing their job. And they are a new employee. I did clock that, which I think this is very ballsy to be doing as a new employee. But like you said, it could have been because some of the other employees were like egging them on perhaps. But maybe just like talk to them and be like, look, this isn't appropriate for our workplace, especially because they're new.
Yeah, I'm with you. One strike, one strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's more of a warning that it could theoretically lead to termination, but I actually am with you that I don't like the idea. We don't hear OP saying, like, I felt violated. They said it was a huge breach of my privacy and that the comments embarrass them, which does honestly feel like it's on the pretty lighthearted side, which just seems more appropriate. Now, I would make a distinction, though. Let's just say that they had, if there was any tie to the employer in the social media profile of this person, there was any way it could be associated with the employer, then I would say, well, now you did yourself dirty. You involve the employer in any kind of way, then I would say no. Now you have a right. Now there's every right to be written up. But I actually am with you, Brian. I am willing, and for the workers, I am willing to go ESH on this for those reasons.
Yeah, especially with the supporting cast of people, kind of razzing OP. The part that ruffles me the wrong way here is it's your own fault for falling for the catfish. That seems like a little. I don't want to say blaming the victim, but blaming the person who got hoodwinked. Like you're not paying a lot of attention to every single person who follows you on social media. You see one picture of somebody wearing a sweater of the same college you went to. It's very easy to just be like, okay, I guess I know this person. Why would they be adding me otherwise?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ESH.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Agreed.
AITA for writing up an employee catfish me. It sounds like we ultimately do agree. ESH. Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/AITA pod. Brian used to support us, but now he doesn't because he only likes Sarah, and it hurts my feelings, and I'm not going to sleep tonight. Watch The Circle, season 5. Brian's on it, baby. See, Brian, I still support you. I send Sarah
$25 a month.
Just over Venmo. And the description every month is fuck Danny, LOL.
Yep. Don't Sarah, I knew you got a cut. So I was like, nah, this is just for you, Sarah.
Oh my gosh.
AITA for knowing my friend is getting catfished but doing nothing to stop it. I went to my friend's apartment yesterday. He is texting this girl and very happy about it. It's unusual for him because he doesn't talk to girls often, but not too odd, so I tell him I'm happy for him and think nothing of it. He's so excited he won't stop talking about her and mentions that she's from California, across the country, but she sometimes stops by here and visits. So I immediately jokingly say, what if it was the catfish? Just playing devil's advocate. He ends up getting visibly offended because I proposed it, so obviously I drop it. Later, he brings her up again and shows a pic of her, and she is obviously out of his league, and her Facebook profile pic has 1 like on it from some boomer not in her state with the obvious, I'm a dumb boomer, so here's my profile shot with my front-facing camera picture. You know the type. So immediately, I reverse image the picture. Sure enough, it's used on 3 pages of porn and malware sites. I've decided I'm not going to let him know this. Instead, I'm going to just let him write it out. Why? Well, he got visibly agitated with me, even proposing the notion when I said it was a joke, and basically said he doesn't want to hear anything about that again. He had a friend back him up that she was quote unquote real. He has also not met her, just seen them talking. I think I would be met with resistance if I showed him this, or at best he would get mad that I didn't take his word that she was real and went on to do my own investigation in spite of him. His reaction last time was very, wow, really, dude? With tinges of aggression sprinkled on top. So I'm conflicted on telling him, but more so leaning towards the side of letting him touch the stove and find out the hard way. AITA.
Oh, I feel like this is one of those situations where like your friend has a piece of spinach in their teeth and like you don't tell them. Like, you're the asshole for not telling them.
I think, well, actually, I disagree with you there because they did try to tell them and they didn't have any evidence. No, they did have evidence to the contrary with reverse image search. But to me, this is more like, hey, man, I think you have some spinach in your teeth. And their friend was just like, fuck you. No, I don't. I don't have any spinach in my teeth and I don't even need to think about it. So
yeah, but he didn't have the evidence yet.
That's
well,
true.
No, he had the evidence. Well, no, he had the evidence. Well, didn't he say that he found the picture on some of these other sites?
Yeah, but
or was that later on?
When he jokingly said, "What if she was a catfish?" and then he went digging and got the evidence. So what was the point of digging for the evidence if you're not going to tell your buddy? It's basically just like you're
personal
just trying
satisfaction.
To, yeah, like you're trying to be like Schadenfreude, like happiness of the misfortune of others.
My question is, go ahead, Brian.
Well, do they not FaceTime? Like, I mean, what's going on here? Like, can't these people FaceTime? Like, okay, if I say, hey, maybe she's a catfish, have you ever FaceTime this individual? Have you ever talked to them? Like, that's an easy way.
That's always the signature of a catfish situation because I actually have a story from my college days, not me, but somebody in our friend group. They got catfished and none of us had evidence to prove it, but we were telling them from the word go. We're telling them from the word go, dude, you are being catfished. There's no way this person is real, because they had made plans to meet up like 3 or 4 times. Every single time she canceled because of this mysterious illness she had that she never really specified. And the big one, and this was 4 people all begging this dude, do not do this. She invited him to, they were supposed to hang out, and then she told him she had to get airlifted to a hospital in Flagstaff because they had a really specific doctor team that was good for her specific illness. And all of us except one person who was egging him on because he was being a dick, were just like, don't do this, man. This is fake. And he got real pissed at us and was like, you guys just can't handle the fact that I have a hot girlfriend. And
oh my God.
The one who was being a dick says, you should buy really expensive flowers on the way up there for her, and gets him to drop like $200 on gifts and flowers because he was pissed off that he yelled at all of us.
Yeah.
And granted, none of us had proof. I think if we had proof, we would have been so vindicated to just like, look at this. So it is wild that he really, but also if this person was that deep in, and the lack of FaceTimes, the lack of like an IRL meetup, that wasn't tipping them off. I think a reverse image search wouldn't have convinced them. I think they would have been willfully ignorant.
Yeah, she's so hot. Someone took her picture. So someone else took it because she's so hot.
Yeah. I think Danny and I were talking about it earlier, and he made the point that like he probably knows like subconsciously, but he's just like in pure denial.
There is none so blind as he who will not see, people.
Oh,
I actually
mic drop, honey.
Oh yeah, I don't know if that one's from the Bible or Shakespeare or what, but it's a banger, folks.
I think it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles season 2.
There we go. With Splinter the Rat. I don't know how he sounds, but that's how I imagine it. Jake is like, that's not canon, Danny.
I don't know. That sounds like a rat to me. I'll take it.
I actually got curious about this because I think it's an interesting question. Some of you may know I studied philosophy, which is roughly the academic equivalent of being on the circle. So that's my degree, basically, is that I was on the circle. So anyway, I went to GPT-4, the AI here, and I actually asked it why people engage in self-delusion. I kind of use this thing as Google now. I thought it was interesting. Cognitive bias. People have a tendency to seek information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs. So we all know about that. We see something that supports our worldview. We're like, yep, that's real. Self-esteem maintenance. I think we see a lot of this in the ego that comes with this, and it also ties into motivated reasoning. People may engage in self-delusion as a result of motivated reasoning, the process of reasoning toward a preferred conclusion rather than seeking the truth. This can occur when individuals have strong emotional attachments to certain beliefs or when they perceive their personal interests are at stake. We can easily see how that ties into self-esteem maintenance. They wanted to believe the story. That's what it is, and they keep feeding it even though everything says this is a big, tasty cat.
I think also, oh, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, but like once you get so far in, like once you get so deep, like at first you may have some questions or whatever, but you kind of just, throw those off to the side, because once you get so deep, when you tell other people, once, if you're by yourself, you can kind of, you haven't told anyone and you're talking to someone online, you may have doubts, but once you tell other people that, hey, I have this girlfriend, that's a big step. And the thought of this person not being real after you brought everyone into it, after you've told everyone, there's no turning back after you include your friend group with this. Let me tell you, me and my friends from college or my buddies or my work people, once you tell the world and, you may change your profile pic online, you told your mom, you told your brother, you told your cousin, once that there, no matter how much information you are presented, you are not going to change your mind, because it's too much for you to, I guess, it's too much for this not to be real. It would hurt too much because you brought the embarrassment, the pain, the ego, like Danny the philosopher said earlier. I didn't know we were getting that deep. I didn't know you were going to drop that much
and
knowledge.
And as they say, love is blind.
What?
That's Brian's next TV show.
Well, my fiance Amber may not love the fact that I would go on a dating show, Love is Blind, but I would totes go on Love is Blind. That is a wild and crazy show. And the new season just dropped, and it's very problematic already.
Oh, I need to start watching it.
Oh yeah, Shannon. It's there's just enough wackadoos on it that you're going to find a lot of juice there, but not to get too off topic. Something that I always see in these catfish things too, and I think it's very common if people really in our generation, anybody who grew up with chat rooms, the digital safety blanket, it is so easy to project feelings, to project desires, to project what you want in somebody onto anyone that you meet in these digital spaces. And I think that's why people, to your point, Brian, this ego, this need for it to be real, it's you not wanting to be embarrassed, but it's also you holding on to this idea that all of these subconscious desires that you have and confidentiality, anything that you can find in another person, which can be really hard in face-to-face relationships, but so easy to trick yourself with in a digital space. It just makes it so, it kind of takes you out of reality a little bit. And I think we see that here of like, I'm standing by the read of, I don't think any amount of evidence would have changed this person's mind about this person being real. It's something that they have to get burned with themselves.
I don't know. I mean, he barely tried. Like he literally just jokingly, OP literally jokingly said, what if it was a catfish? And yes, he got defensive, but like, I feel like you need to try. Like you took the time to get this evidence. He tried with one little joke a while ago.
Visibly agitated. I think this is why I am on Jake's side with this.
What's the point of even going and looking then?
Shannon, because they're curious. They're curious. I'm curious. You know what I mean? We're curious. There's nothing wrong with going and looking.
I know, but
the question is, and I think this supports what Jake is saying, always look at the emotion. That it always tells the whole story. This has nothing to do with intellect. It has nothing to do with reason. And the agitation shows that the mere suggestion that they would go, oh, it's not a catfish. That tells the whole story, and that's why I'm 100% with Jake. They could have shown a live video feed of this being a creepy guy in his mom's basement, and they would have been like, that's not her, bro. That's not her.
But you're saving your friend so much embarrassment down the line. Imagine when he finds out, when he flies to Missouri, knocks on her door, and it is a little ratty old man. Like, how awful would that be?
No, but they're not going to. That's the whole thing, is that had they even been like, look, bro, I looked up reverse image, this guy would have been like, how dare you? You know what? You're a sicko.
You don't know that.
I would bet $1,000 on it. No, you're right. I don't know.
You don't know. He could be like, after seeing it, like, oh shit, you're right.
I think it's
Shannon, worth giving it a try.
It was worth a try, but I do think it wouldn't have worked. And I have a weird feeling on this because my experience with it of just seeing how deep in the sauce people can get lost on this topic. I do think that an effort should have been made to prevent this person from making really, really bad decisions, because you can get taken for a fucking ride in this situation. And we don't know if they were asking for money, if they were asking for gifts, that kind of thing.
Dangerous.
Sorry, guys.
Effort was,
I'm not with you. And here's why. Let's just look at the post here. No, it's not. Here's the thing. If I was trying to tell one of you guys that you were being catfished and you hit me with dude, stop. But here's the phase that is like, look, this person, they were stuck on this path and I'm not going to deal with this. And that phrase is tinges of aggression. I am not responsible for you digging yourself a hole when you're going to aggress me for having your best interest at heart. I just don't have to deal with that. That's not my task.
Sometimes you just got to let people find out on their own.
True.
Some people have to find out on their own.
FAFO
and stick
baby.
The quarter in the the outlet and just find out, because eventually, if not this person, then the next person. I think you kind of get put on a list, like a telemarketing list. Like once they get you, I don't know if you've all watched 90 Day Fiance. I'm a big reality TV fan, by the way, but on TLC, they have this 90 Day Fiance, and these people are presented with tons of information, and they just believe it wholeheartedly that this person who's way out of their league with tons of money fell in love with them. And it's not a real love. It's like reading a book. You create your own world, you create your own space, and that love can be greater. You know how you read a book, and it's the most amazing book in the world. And then you go to the movie and it sucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like this. It's like sometimes the love that you create with these online digital romances is stronger and deeper because you created this, mystical fairy tale love affair, and you don't have to deal with their dirty socks or, the real life things that go along with real relationship. This is a perfect, wonderful relationship that you can access anytime. And, they're telling you they love them and you're the best thing ever, and you don't have to deal with anything else. So I feel that, you got to just let people mess around and find out. We told you, you're going to get aggressive with me. You're going to try to fight me over somebody.
Yeah,
in,
let them dig their own grave.
Bulgaria. Let them find, if they want to fly out to Miami at some, swamp and for the love of their life without FaceTiming this person, let them do it. Let them do it. Let them suffer the consequences of their actions.
I live in the Everglades. The address is 003 Alligator. So see you take a swamp boat, hon.
Y'all have swung me on this, and you're actually reminding me of how hardcore the person that I knew that was in a situation similar to this, they went in on believing the bullshit of why they had never had a FaceTime conversation or a video call or anything. And they were really high, like not aggressive, but high anger about it of like, man, she can't do video calls because the phone screen hurts her eyes. That kind of thing. Like just absurd takes of like, dude, she can't have a video call with me right now. Her dog is sick and keeps vomiting nonstop, 24
nonstop.
And it's just like, man, listen to this.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
Wait, hold on. How did he end up finding out?
The person catfishing him just had a crisis of conscience and was just like, hey, I'm just like a 42-year-old lady out in Apache Junction. I'm sorry. I can't keep doing this to you. And it was actually him driving all the way up to Flagstaff with $200 worth of gifts that finally got her to break.
Wow.
Oh, so she wasn't even up there or anything?
No, she just
What did she
just
say?
panicked. She just panicked and like came up with another excuse why they couldn't hang out. But I guess she had also gotten him to go to Six Flags Magic Mountain at some point over the summer, and then was just like, dog got sick again, can't make it. And he's like already there with tickets. So he got taken for a bad ride.
Poor
Do you guys know that I was catfished? I was cowfished. Yeah,
that
I don't know if you guys.
me.
What's that?
We love him.
I did not know that.
I was cowfished. Christmas of like 20 something, maybe 2021. I forget. I don't know. It wasn't that long ago, but I wanted to take a picture of me sitting on a dairy cow, which honestly I think has only been done a handful of times in human history, believe it or not, because I guess they're fucking assholes, dairy cows. Anyway, I posted an ad on Craigslist. And the big joke was going to be, I was going to caption it, "I love horses," even though I'm sitting on a dairy cow.
Great joke, man. Totally worth it.
Totally worth it. So I post on Craigslist, and it was like this grandma reached out to me, and her name was like little old Martha or whatever. She had like this stereotypical name, and she asked me to Venmo her $15, and really writing many paragraphs describing the farm. Like, it was very elaborate. And I sent the $15, and I drove an hour from Casa Grande to the cow meetup point where there was a farm confirmed on Google whatever maps. And there was no cows though, but and so nobody showed up, and I kept texting, and they basically ghosted. So I sent a Venmo request to the original thing, and it was initially like whatever, like Grandma Martha, but then like 3 months later they changed it back to their original Venmo handle, and guys, 1 year later they sent me back the $15, and I was like, well played.
Wow. Okay, that's nice you got your money back. I don't know if that's cow fishing as much as it is just getting scammed.
Yeah.
I didn't lose any money in the end, but I did lose an hour trip. Nonetheless, AITA for knowing my friend is getting... Yeah, AITA for knowing my friend is getting catfished, but doing nothing to stop it. I do think we agree here. Always look at your emotions, folks, because we are all capable of self-deluding. And I think maybe the only person who's the asshole would be the catfish, meaning this would be NTA and the catfish is.
Yeah, I was ready to go very, very soft YTA, but Brian and Danny swung me. I think this is an NTA. I don't think any amount of effort would have made a difference here. And somebody's already being aggressive with you. What are you going to do?
Oh, I don't know, guys. I just don't know. I still think that he should say something, but
I'm the king of letting people mess around and find out. I am the king of that. Like, you got to learn eventually. So the hard way sometimes is the best way.
Yeah.
Just like get on video with them once. That's like a stone cold rule of confirming identity. That's all you need to do to prove it.
I think that's actually the better way to go about it. Like, as the friend, just maybe being like, hey, have you guys like FaceTimed yet? Or like, how's it going with your girl? Like, what, maybe inquiring, like, to have him dig a little bit more. Instead of being like, I dug
But that catfish
you.
would have been like, oh, I'm on my mom's internet plan and I can't FaceTime or something like that.
It's not my problem.
You can't be on the internet at the same time.
If I'm your friend and you want to go dig a hole to the center of the earth and I'm like, yo, dude, don't do that. And then you're like, fuck you, it's going to the center. It's like, all right, dog. Like, it's not my job to try and make you see the truth. That's what you want to do. As Brian has been quoting one of my favorite memes, if you want to fuck around at a level of 7, you're going to find out at a level of 7. And that's what this person is doing. I would say this is like a 9 because you're getting your heart involved. Oh, no.
Yeah.
10.
Whatever.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. We put out one bonus episode a week. There's over 150 bonus episodes, and we're working on a new episode called the Fuck Brian episode. All about, just kidding. We love you, Brian. I'm so happy.
Please follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and we're also out there on YouTube, and you can see all of our beautiful faces.
And follow Brian on Instagram.
Worldwide Bri.
There we go.
Yeah, Brian, thank
it's
you
a great follow.
Thank you for the bragging rights with all my friends that somebody from the circle now follows me on Instagram. That hit real hard in my group threads when I flexed on them.
It is weird to have all of this power all of a sudden. and you want to know a trick?
Mark.
The blue check mark was crazy because it's funny because whenever I followed a bunch of people, blue check marks, right? And I didn't have a blue check mark, so they never followed me. So, I would try to get in their DMs. They would never respond. So what I did when I got my blue check mark, what I did is I unfollowed a blue check mark. And then I would refollow them. And then they would see, this blue check. And then they would follow me. Yes.
Smart.
Yes, that is the key. That is the key to doing it. But yeah, Worldwide Bri. I'm a great follow. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, thanks so much. We really appreciate you joining us, Brian. And we thought, you have a child, so maybe you can give us this insight on this super juicy deleted Reddit post, AITA, for sulking about the fact that my wife won't let me watch my son's birth. I, 28M, have been with the love of my life, Emily, 26F, for 7 years, married for 2. We've always talked about having kids, and I've always wanted to be there when they were born. When my dad was still alive, he used to tell me and my siblings all the time about how it literally brought him to tears, and by the way, this is a man who doesn't cry, that he would say he was so grateful for all of us and for the experience. My beautiful and amazing wife is 8 months pregs. It's been a pretty difficult preg, well, for us, but especially for her. She's had a few miscarriages in the past, and I've just been praying to God for both of them to make it through safely. We were talking more and more about what's going to happen when she goes into labor, and she's very adamant that I not be in the room. Natural or C-section, no matter what. I've tried convincing, pleading, begging, but she won't change her mind. Her mom is going to be with her, and I understand she needs her mom, and that she needs to do whatever to make sure that everything goes smoothly. I don't want to stress her out too much because I keep telling myself all that matters is that they're both healthy, but I'm honestly really sad about not being able to be there for my son's birth. It's not about me. I know that. All that matters is they're both healthy. I've been trying to come to terms and understand this on my own time so as to not bother her. But Emily's just being so condescending, and I know that she's stressed and scared so she doesn't mean it, but I feel like I deserve to process this at least for a few days. I still do everything as I've done before, but she says that now I have this, quote, beaten puppy dog look on my face, and it's, quote unquote, pissing her off. Then she started scolding me, asking me why it mattered so much and if I was going to act this weak in front of our son. She told me I needed to just be a fucking man and get the fuck over it. I feel like crying, but I don't want her to know and get mad at me again. So I told her I was going out to get groceries, and I'm writing this in the car to try to calm myself down. I love her, but what she said really hit me hard. I just want them to both be healthy and safe, but I also wanted to be there. AITA.
Woof.
I know this one is.
There's so many layers to this.
brutal.
Like, what do we know why that would help a lot to know why she doesn't want him in the room, because it gets kind of messy during deliveries. And maybe it's because like, hey, I don't want you to see that because I want to keep the spice there. I don't want you to see me in that position.
I was thinking that. Like, I feel like some women don't want their men to like see they're down there in that light, which I think is a vanity thing.
I'm drawn to the miscarriages. I think that there might be nerves about this. I think that there is I think that she's really tied up and probably having that same so close to, the moment and carrying the loss from the previous pregnancies with her. I could understand why that would kind of create this feeling of just wanting it to be with, her mom, an ultimate caregiver, and not wanting her partner in that room. So I can, that would be my guess. But yeah, some kind of clarity on that would be really illuminating to the situation.
I think Jake's hitting that nail right on the head. Marie Ann, 33, writes, her body, her choice. End of story. Well, I don't think that's the end of the story. I definitely agree that obviously if someone has had a series of miscarriages, there's probably a tremendous amount of performance anxiety. Also with you, Shannon, that there could be a vanity component here. But I think my main qualm with Emily is that the things that she is saying about this are not good conflict management. I'm not hearing any empathy, any understanding, and then to openly take shots and describe OP as weak for the sin of wanting to see their child being born. And Brian, I'm just curious, was this a meaningful moment for you?
So a couple of different things. First of all, I never take anything that your pregnant spouse says personally while they're pregnant, because they have a lot of hormones and it's very stressful. That is one thing that I want to tell. Regardless, if your spouse is pregnant, they have tons of hormones, their body's changing. They say some crazy, fucked up shit to you, and you just got to say, chalk it up to, hey, it's the hormones, it's the fear. Are they like that before? Were they like this before they were pregnant, or is this something that's been going on before that? Because that's a whole another issue, a bigger problem. I feel that the things that she said to him were problematic, but the big thing is that the miscarriages do add another layer to this. And I would err on the side of, hey, whatever you want to do. Now, as far as this being a meaningful moment, absolutely. The most beautiful thing that you could ever witness is watching your child be born. It is just an amazing moment, just seeing it come out. And for me personally, you kind of throw all the other vanity stuff out the window. That's just one of those things that just happens. It's natural. And then, once it's done, everything, you can go back to, whatever you want to do after the child is born, whatever. But it's an amazing, meaningful moment of just, seeing the doctors hold your child for the first time, and you get to cut the cord. That is just a magical moment, cutting the umbilical cord after your child is born, and then just hearing it cry for the first time. Just being there and seeing their first moments, taking their first breath. It's just such a magical moment that I know definitely 100% it is her body, her choice. I get that. And, I would say, me personally, if my spouse was, adamant about me not being in the room, I would say, okay, yeah, you're right, I will stay out. But you're missing a whole lot when you're not in that room, because there's so much that happens during those first few moments.
And like some bonding, bonding time. And I feel like with just like the woman, gets the chance, like the baby is literally inside her. So like I feel like I've heard that it's just a little bit easier for like women to bond with the baby because they do have such a special bond. And this is his baby. Like, we can't help it as human beings that women are the only people that can have children, or, Yeah.
People with vaginas.
People with vaginas.
Yeah, I
with
actually have to
uteruses,
push back on this a little bit, Brian, that the most beautiful moment in my life would be watching my child be born, because I think it would be if I was watching Shannon or Jake's child be born. That's a joke about how you guys are very beautiful, and it bombed really bad. Wow. I'm so
I was waiting for you to say something else.
You cut me off for that. You cut me off.
I'm quitting the podcast forever. Brian, here's my question for you. I'm sorry you had to hear that joke, but you mentioned your wife taking these nasty shots when she's pregnant. Do you remember any specifically? Because that's really fucking funny to me.
Yeah. Well, my ex-wife now, and I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast, but my goodness, like just the things that would come out of her mouth when she was pregnant were just, what are you saying? Who are you? Like, what's going on? Like, and, you know, the things, you know, and it's understandable because of the changes that are going on and you just having a baby and doing all that stuff. It just, I can't repeat them on air. I can't.
Attacks, like what level?
Everything.
Everything.
Like, I hate you. I wish you weren't the father. I wish it was someone better looking that had more money.
She's like, you look like Danny Vega.
Yeah, like you could have a Danny Vega baby. I'd rather have Danny Vega's baby than your baby. Like, our baby's gonna be ugly. Yeah, our baby's gonna be so ugly because you're big. Like it's gonna be so hard for me. I'll never go back to what I was because our baby's head is gonna be so gigantic that it's gonna ruin me forever.
Oh my Lord!
It was brutal. It was rough. Yeah, it was tough. But you got to just chalk that up to pregnancy. And then, you know, considering as my ex-wife, it kind of never stopped. So, but that's a whole nother story.
It never stopped.
We'll get into that.
We're not together anymore.
Time.
Yeah, we're worried about that later. But but no, it's magical being in the room. So
yeah, I would think so too. Like it is his baby. Like he should be able to be there. And is this a time? Do you think this is a COVID time where like you could only have one person in the room with you?
Listen, I'm going to be very upset if my spouse chooses their mother instead of me. If you have the choice of one person, I'm going to be very hurt that you chose your mother instead of me.
I would be too. I think I would be too.
Because it's our baby. Yeah, because like it's like he has no choice. It's his child. It's half of his child, and I understand it's her body, but it's also I feel that he should be there for the moment that his child is born, because it's one of the most magical things. I remember, you know, my firstborn son, when they laid him down, he grabbed a hold of my pinky and he squeezed it. And oh my gosh, I just fell in love. And that wouldn't have happened if I were in the room, because you don't know. Cause like when your baby gets taken away to like that back, cause you know, they do it a little different now. When they take them, they should take them back. And then they come back a little while later. You don't know what happens to that baby after that. You don't know. Is that the same baby? Like, what do they do to that little baby? You know, it's a different baby from when
this way you can mark it when you're in the room.
Put your signature that only you can do.
Yeah. You got to bring a Sharpie.
Brand them.
Right? Has no one ever seen those vampire movies? What are they? Where you imprint on somebody when you first see them? You know, like you do that imprinting thing. Like that's what you need right there. So you miss out on that. So I'm a big proponent of the dad being in the room.
I think so too.
Yeah. And I do think ultimately I'm on the side of, I think this is a hard thing to fight because, you know, the natural inclination is her body, her choice. But hormones or not, I have a big problem with the be a fucking man line, because he is being a fucking man. He's trying to be a good father. He wants to be there for this very important moment. And, you know, it's so easy to minimize the role of a father in a kid's life. And he's trying to do right by this kid. So it's as natural as it is to go to, it's her body. It's his baby too.
Right, exactly. That's what I think too. I kind of think this is a situation where her body, her choice isn't even like, because it's not like something directly with her body. It's like the whole experience is shared with the three of you.
Well, but the miscarriage is a big deal. I mean, I think for me, the question is, and Brian, I'm going to throw this to you because you have this experience, is are we ready to give the mother a pass given that she is hormonal? Because that is her way out. Otherwise, I'm not going to see her escaping an asshole verdict.
You know, the miscarriage adds in another layer to this.
Brutal. Multiple miscarriages.
And so if it was just vanity, I would say she's definitely the asshole on this occasion. But for the miscarriage and because of the hormones, and it seems like her and the husband of the man, the father, I don't know. Just I never had someone say that to me, like, be a fucking man. Is this how you're gonna act when your baby is born? Like, first of all, that's just awful. Like the level of toxic masculinity right there.
It's so toxic.
Pretty
and
bad.
Wouldn't you love the fact that your husband cares that much about your child that he wants to see their first breath? Like that would be so special to me.
I don't know that she doesn't. I just think she's I think she's terrified. That's to me
what
what
does
this
she
is.
think, that he's like a bad luck charm or something? I don't really
who else?
understand.
She's trying to create the safest space possible, which is why I think she wants mommy there.
Why is he not safe?
Because I don't know, because it's performance anxiety, because the miscarriages affected him directly, right? So the mother in a way.
What does that say about their relationship that he's not providing her the safest space?
No, that's not that. I disagree with that. What I'm trying to say is, guys, she feels comfortable failing in front of the mother because the mother doesn't have as direct of an investment, right? If she has a miscarriage with the mother isn't directly the victim. I guess that's her grandchild, right? But she feels this performance anxiety with him, a failure, by the way, that the patriarchy pushes onto women to be the nurturer, to be the child bearer. And so I think is it rational? Of course, it's not fully rational, but I don't think it's necessarily an indictment of their relationship. I feel like I have Brian backing me on this, that the hormones are intense. And for these reasons, AITA for sulking about the fact that my wife won't let me watch my son's birth, I am ready to give a pass, despite the fact that she is being very toxic. I don't think anyone's contesting that, and say no assholes here.
I can't call somebody who's been through multiple miscarriages an asshole for being unreasonable in how they're approaching a situation this close to the finish line of another pregnancy. I hear you, Shannon. I'm with you. So like, I want to not go no assholes here, but man, I just can't condemn somebody who's in her position. I really hate the language of like, criticizing his manhood, of how he's responding to this. And for the record, nobody's ever gotten the desired response they want out of somebody by saying, be a fucking man like that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it's just that's not the way to go about this.
And also, it's like, why can't you let him grieve this? Like, you're taking away a special moment in his life that he's always wanted. Why don't you just let him grieve over it? Why do you even have to get involved?
She is the asshole for being that critical of his response to not being allowed to be there for his kid.
Right.
That is something
she's like a double whammy.
Yep.
She's taking away something from him, and then she's being really hurtful about his process of getting over something that was really important to him.
Well, and he is trying to come to terms. He's specifically saying, I'm trying to come to terms and understand this. He's accepting it.
Exactly. And it's not like he is fighting back at all. Totally.
Well,
I agree. I don't think we disagree at all. I don't think anyone disagrees. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, because I'm a reality TV superstar on Netflix, I cannot call a pregnant woman an asshole in any way, shape, or form. But it's just so hard because I get, the guy. It's not a failure on her. I know the patriarchy, all this stuff, but I would never see it as a failure on the woman in this instance. I know a lot of things are put on women, but this would not be the failure of a woman to have a miscarriage. I don't think it would be seen in that light. And I think that the guy should be in the room to be in there in that moment. If it does, they do have that miscarriage, because they wouldn't be able to share that moment together. It would be her sharing that moment with the mom, and then he would just come in later on the back end. And that's just not the same. You need to be there with, the mom and the baby in that time, or just to celebrate the birth together. There's nothing that brings two people together than sharing the birth of your child. So that's the most important part. And it is much different being there in the moment. So
yeah.
But I don't want to call her an asshole.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I'm sure I'll have a much different perspective of this. Like, once I am pregnant and I know how it feels to have all of these insane hormones running through me. I mean, I've been on birth controls that have been terrible, but I don't think anywhere as much as pregnancy. So I'll probably be eating my words, but just the like, be a fucking man. Like, I can't imagine that she would say that without like also having those kinds of thoughts when she's just a normal person, like without being pregnant. Like, I just can't imagine ever saying that to my husband when he's trying to grieve over something. So I can do no assholes here if once she's not pregnant, she can like come around and be like, I'm really sorry that I didn't allow you that grieving time.
Super reasonable. I'm with that, Shannon.
Yeah, I think there has to be a conversation after the fact here, but God, what a tough spot to be in.
Yeah,
and couples therapy.
Yeah, and hopefully, like, if he's not allowed to be there for this pregnancy, I'm really hoping that it all went really well, and then they can have another baby, and maybe he can be there for that one.
No, he's going to be home
true.
babysitting the other baby.
Yeah. He's not even going to be in the hospital.
Yep.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was so fun. Thank you so much.
Absolute delight.
This was the highlight of my year, and it was a pleasure being with the two of you.
Got him.
You two are great, and I thank you so much, and I appreciate that. And Danny,
I'll see you when I see you.
Thanks for taking up. See you when I see you.
Anytime we have a guest, let's just encourage them to be absolutely ruthless to Danny. Just keep that gag running.
Classic.
I am the asshole. Yes, let's do it. I'm putting it on Twitter immediately. My large fan base, my substantial fan base will hear about this, and we'll make it a movement.
Yes.
Love it.
Perfect.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.